If you're planning on attending Grocery Shop this fall, make sure to arrive in Las Vegas mid-afternoon on Sunday, September 28th. That way, you'll be able to attend the big Grocery Shop kickoff party being hosted by the CPG guys in partnership with Rethink Retail. The party runs Sunday, September 28th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Our kickoff party is where all the industry luminaries customarily gather to celebrate the beginning of this annual event. In the coming weeks, we'll provide more details on how to register and how to sponsor. In the meantime, make sure your travel plans ensure your arrival in Las Vegas to join us for the kickoff party.
I'm Jeff Cohen with Amazon Ads, and you're listening to the CPG Guys podcast.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V. Espan, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys. Hello and welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. We're coming to you from Cannes, France. We're attending the 2025 Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity. And to talk about what's been going on here over the course of several days is our dear friend from Amazon Ads. He's a tech evangelist, and more importantly, he's a dear friend of the pod, Jeff Cohen. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's early morning at the end of Cannes. It's been a long week.
Oh.
We've had a lot of networking, a lot of conversation. It makes me think back to one of our team members walked in late to a meeting, and she said, "Sorry, I'm late. I just had a 10-minute impromptu meeting as I was walking over here." And that's what this show is about. It's not just about the scheduled meetings. It's a lot about the unstructured time of what's happening and the conversations that you're having along the way.
And the friends, the old friends in the industry, maybe you haven't seen for a decade plus, like I just did with somebody from the Albertsons team. But Jeff, before we do anything else, I think some thanks are in order here. We need to pass on.
Big thanks.
This episode cannot start, although this is the end of Cannes. Our friendship is here for a lifetime. And a few days ago, on Wednesday of the festival, we released episode 500 with the head of US Ads, the VP of US Ads, Tanner Elton. That episode actually would not have been possible had you not really worked hard to within the
lobby, facilitated, advocated.
Yeah, I'm going to say within the firewalls of Amazon.
We are grateful.
Well, listen, I think that one thing that I've tried to do since I've joined Amazon is really try to bring a human side of what happens inside Amazon out. And It's why I wanted to come and join Amazon, because when I was on the partner side, I sometimes felt like it was, I felt like I hit up against some of those walls. And so when I'm working with our partners and they're trying to bring those walls down, and I want to help them do that. And I think Amazon wants to be out there. They want to be sharing more, but they don't always necessarily know who to be going to and how to be doing it. And I think you guys are one of, if not the best places that we should be speaking to, especially for somebody like Tanner, who speaks to many of the customers who listen to this podcast.
Maybe that's where we start. But sincerely, Jeff, it wouldn't have happened without you. We want to say thank you.
Yes.
This is not the first time you've done that with us. Last year we recorded a bunch of podcasts for you, with you. We're grateful for that. We even tried to link it live last year.
Yeah, we did.
Maybe not the best idea, but it still worked out.
Fail fast.
Learn, move forward. Now we're in a quiet setting. But let's kick it off with what we learned on the episode with Tanner, which is actually live as of Wednesday of the festival.
Yep.
So I loved besides learning the DNA of how Amazon Ads functions, which is fascinating.
And he's been there over 13 years. So he knows a great deal about the legacy of its first entry into advertising.
And coming from the creative side of Amazon, which is more on the entertainment side.
Yeah.
He was just an eloquent speaker.
Yes.
You can tell he comes from that side of the fence.
He likes C's. Yes. Yeah.
The 6 C's he referred to. What do you guys think about that?
Listen, I think that one of the things that I've realized and I've only been at Amazon 3.5 years, And I was talking to my new director, who's only been here for 4 months. One of the things that I don't think is seen from the outside or really understood from the outside is that the leadership principles are really lived every day. Everything does work backwards from the customer. It does work backwards from the voice of customer. And it's important for us to hear that feedback, to disseminate that feedback, and to ensure that we take that and put it back into the products that we're building. And it's not just something that we go out on podcast and talk about. It's something that in every meeting that we're having, it's a level of inspection that goes into what we're doing and how we're making decisions.
I mean, certainly the one thing we know, the world knows about Amazon, that's been around, it's the customer obsession has been around forever, but it shows in how you communicate, it shows in how you act.
Right.
Internally, you keep up with the times, trends, and the customer obsession piece kind of almost requires you, but it's a choice you made to really be, if you're going to do it and if you're going to make it public, you want to be the best at it.
Yeah. I think of it as an inspection level, right? Like, what is the true impact we expect the customer to have? Now, we always are thinking about the customer as the person who is viewing the ad or buying the product as a result of viewing the ad. But we also have our advertisers as a customer. We also have our partners as a customer. So there are a lot of different customers you do have to consider, but you also need to always link back to the idea of what's the ultimate impact to the shopper on Amazon, the viewer of Prime Video, the listener to the podcast, or, you know, whatever is the end action that you're trying to drive, because that's ultimately who you want to be engaged and who you want to be repeating the process of coming back to what we have and wanting them to want to engage with us more.
Foolproof formula.
So why don't we get to talking about some important themes that were talked about here. Yeah. I think clearly one of them is the impact that AI is going to have on content generation for all media, but particularly retail media, because there are so many RMNs here, Amazon ads being the predominant one. But for me, it's something that started, frankly, when I really hit my radar was a couple of years ago through Amazon. It was actually their Accelerate Sellers Conference.
Yep.
And they introduced the capability to for sellers to be able to fully populate a PDP with content from just something as simple as the information on a package flat.
So, Jeff, I want to ask you a question.
That was
on that.
revolutionary, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question on that and how you're thinking about this, right? It's not so much an Amazon question, it's a you question. Peter and I were lucky enough to attend a panel with Sir Martin Sorrell, the legendary Sir Martin Sorrell. And by the way, we posted a picture with him.
That was a bucket list, brother.
It was a bucket list for Peter and
me. It's like right there below meeting Jeff Cohen. It was like pretty close.
Jeff Cohen number one. No. Jeff Cohen number one. Martin Sorrell number two. So we've achieved Jeff Cohen. There we go.
But the difference is Martin Sorrell will actually let us take a picture with him.
Yes. Yeah, we have to ask Jeff if he will. We haven't asked him yet. So one of the things that he said pretty profoundly multiple times is there is a fact that AI and creative are a deadly combination, and that it is to be seriously considered by agencies as it is going to happen, which means what agencies do today for a living cannot be what agencies do tomorrow.
And not only that, but how they generate revenue.
That's what I meant.
The model has to change.
Absolutely, the model has to change, because today they're managing advertisement placement and the creative of the ads. Tomorrow, the creative of the ads can be created by AI for the most part, as well as the placement of the ads can be done by AI. And he also said AI will make it a heck of a lot more efficient, which means the dollars will shrink as well. Love to hear your thoughts of what have you been learning in this show?
first off, I think in general, AI is a buzz. It was last year, but it's an even bigger buzz this year. I mean, I'm looking out the window and there's a huge banner that says, that's talking about AI.
What is truth.ai?
I think at the end of the day, it's really impossible to know what the future is going to be, but we do know that AI is impacting us. And I think that the agencies, the partners, the advertisers that are leaning into it and that are using it to find operational efficiencies, that are using it to find ways of growing their business, are the ones who can potentially have a first mover advantage as we move forward. I don't love to be a prognosticator, because one thing I have learned is that whatever we envision is probably not how things will actually work out. Mm-hmm. Like we've all been around for a long time.
Saying we're old?
We're older. We're older. We've all seen,
which means we should have more wisdom.
Yes, but we've all seen the evolution of things like the mobile phone and e-commerce. And if we even think back to like what we thought e-commerce was going to be in the early 2000s, it's significantly different than what it is today. And it's had an impact, but I don't know that we would have completely been able to understand what that impact would be. So I think that it's not necessarily about what is the impact in the future. It's more about how are you embracing something today so that you're prepared for what the potential impact in the future is. There's lots of things that cause disruption in our space. I think one of the things that good brands, good agencies, good partners in the space are able to do is they're able to adapt as the market changes, and some will lead, and some will need to catch up. And AI is definitely driving us forward faster, and it's creating a lot of great innovation.
In our conversation with Tanner, he said it's not about predicting the future. It's about knowing what is true today and what of the things that are true today you believe are going to carry on into the future, and using that as your premise for
use that as the foundation.
That's the foundation for your decision.
There's no doubt about it, but I also think about sharpening the pencil, right? And there's some AI is, in my humble opinion, AI is still a buzzword because most people are trying to discover what to do with it. They often confuse machine learning as well as natural language processors. And, variety of things built around this ecosystem as outcome versus that is a means to an end. But I think what I really took away from that message is those means to an end will actually become means to an end.
Yes.
And the bigger thing in what he said so much was not creative will be dependent on AI, but more because of optimization of advertising dollars, advertising budgets will actually shrink because they'll be highly and efficiently optimized. Yeah. That to me, I'm not talking about RMNs. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking about the advertising publishers in general. Should they be thinking about it? Is it even something that should be discussed?
I think it's too early to actually discuss it. It's hard. Again, it's hard to say something's going to happen or something's not going to happen or something should happen or something shouldn't happen. But I think that what we can do is we should be looking for ways to use AI to optimize our ads. Yeah. We should be looking for ways to improve the ROAS or the new to brand metrics or whatever the KPI metrics are. Mm-hmm. And then if there's additional ways to explore with an R&D budget of ways to expand the reach of your brand, maybe this is instead of looking at it as what may happen, let's look at it what the opportunity is. Mm-hmm. And what about a brand who hasn't traditionally spent in upper funnel advertising, who's able to be more efficient in what they were doing before, and now they have money to go try upper funnel advertising. And so I think
that's a big deal what you just said.
Right. And as you democratize, and that's what I think Amazon has really been doing with streaming television and tools like Performance Plus. It's creating an opportunity for challenger brands and even existing brands to find new audiences and get more hyper targeted in the way that they're using signals to precision build precision-based campaigns.
Yep.
And
in some ways, Jeff, if you go back pre-COVID, this festival is all about creative. And
it's definitely shifted, that's for sure.
Post-COVID, it became
it's
retail media.
sharing the stage with something beyond just the creative element.
I've never been to this show pre-COVID. I've only heard, but yes, I do think one of my themes of this show is the continued growth of, I'll say, larger retail media networks that are here, right? Disney has a much bigger presence this year than they've ever had before.
Chase Media Solutions, right there on the beach.
Right.
Let's dig into retail media. So clearly one emerging theme, hot, probably is going to repeat itself year over year, is AI and creative here at Cannes. And rightfully, it should be one of the biggest topics in a quote-unquote creative festival. Let's jump into RMNs.
Okay, one thing I want to say before that, because I'm going to drop a little Easter egg for our fans. Following the phenomenal success of the CPG guys partnering with
Who are they
Cohen,
again?
I don't know, they're a bunch of, they're a little self-important, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
They talk about themselves.
The
in
CPG
third
guys.
part.
Okay.
Following the phenomenal success of the 2025 Retail Media Strategy Exec Ed program at Cornell, don't be surprised if you see the development of an AI strategy in CPG retail exec ed program coming to you very soon.
But no BS. This is about on the job.
This is not about
what it means for you.
Tactical application. This is how do you, as a leader, a CMO, a head of digital, really leverage AI through the
and no
supply
scare
chain.
tactics.
No. Yeah. That's really what
and
this is about.
And I think I've been asked this question quite a few times because a lot of our partners are starting to develop these agentic AI solutions, which are more than just co-pilots or chats. They're actually doing deep research. And I think there's a lot that CMO, not just CMOs, but even hands-on keyboard operators are going to need to learn in terms of how do you inspect what comes back?
Yeah.
Because AI is great and it can do a lot of really good research for you, but you have to shift it to make sure that it's working in the way that you want it to work. It's understanding your brand.
It's about tweaking it and then feeding that you need to give AI feedback as to what its output is, and then feed that as input back into the algorithm, which allows. So it's like figuring out what the head terms are for search. Right, you need to tell them, oh, that's not wrong. This doesn't fit a brand guideline. Right, it develops it. But what I do want to talk about, Sri, because you brought it up, is retail media.
Yep. That's our second theme.
Yeah. This is it. 3 years ago, maybe, you and I would have said the preeminent events to discuss industry-wide retail media were probably Shop Talk and maybe Grocery Shop for food. A little bit CES.
Well, CES is actually...
But no, my point is, where are we now? It was very clear to us in January that to Jeff's point, all the big RMNs were there on force. Not just they were represented. They were represented by the highest echelon of leadership in those entities. If that's how they kick off the year, Cannes is where they all come together to talk about what they've done so far and where they're going to take it for the balance of the year into the next year. So I say that CES and Cannes are the preeminent events.
No doubt about it.
For brands and publishers to talk about how they can invest their dollars to grow their business.
Your thoughts on that, sir? Are these now emerging as the two big events for all the RMN publishers to really get stuff done, move the needle with the industry?
Chain Drug Review's focus is on reaching the key decision makers across all retail channels, delivering comprehensive coverage of the latest shopping trends and in-depth category analysis on health, beauty, over-the-counter products, and wellness. Whether it's the latest trends, emerging technologies, or strategies for adapting to new consumer behaviors, mass market retailers deliver the critical information retailers need to navigate this dynamic environment. To subscribe to the newsletters of CDR and MMR, simply follow the hyperlinks in the digital liner notes of this episode. Chain Drug Review and Mass Market Retailers are published by Retail Media IQ.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, we all attend a lot of events. I think it's for the question becomes, how many events can the brands attend? Right. You know this. You know this from your day.
We feel the pain now,
right,
as CPG guys.
CPG guys are everywhere. That's
right.
different.
We have to be judicious.
Right. And so they're going to have to be judicious, and they're going to have to decide who's going to what. So I think it depends on who your target at that brand is. Yeah. That will determine what's happening and each of these shows will probably have you aligning and talking with different people at that level.
I have a huge observation on that.
Yeah.
So at CES 2025 and this event, the Cannes Lions event, there's a huge decline in brand attendance. Only the senior most leaders from brands are here.
Okay.
And then I flip the coin and look at grocery shop and shop talk. Brand attendance surging, but it's much more junior people. The senior leaders are not going to grocery shop and shop talk.
What's happened between Shop Talk in March and CES now? Incredible expansion of volume challenges.
Yep.
And what have a lot of CPGs done? They've taken
cut back travel.
They've taken relatively draconian measures on reducing expenses, right? And that's the first wave. The first wave is cut down travel. Right. The next wave is reorganization.
I'm sorry, Peter, but there's a huge miss.
But that's where I think, Sri, your point is, I think, the point I was trying to make, which is if you're trying to speak to senior leadership, then this is the show that you want to be at.
Yeah.
If you are looking to share across maybe more of the hands-on keyboard operators, then you're talking about going to like a shop talk.
Yeah.
I'll even throw Possible in there, right? Like Possible is that's majorly expanded this year beyond the Fontainebleau and into the Eden Rock.
Yeah.
I didn't attend, but the people that attended still say that it was great, but I don't think it had a major.
And Jeff, I have an observation on that.
That was more focused on the audience there.
Yes.
For attendance were agencies.
Yes, I don't know.
It wasn't about brands being there. Brands were on stage, but it was very clear to me when I looked at who actually attended because we registered. Sometimes we register for conferences not because we have the facility to go to them, because we have to be judicious. But once we're registered, we can actually see in the attendee list who's there. And what I saw was moderate handful of brands, a heavy focus on RMNs bringing their agency salespeople to talk to the agencies.
Great.
But still very important for that community.
It's a cohort you need to speak to. Yeah.
So one of the things I want to actually call out is to my peer brethren in the CPG community, and I want to call you out. Those of you in commercial leadership, quote unquote sales leaders, CCOs, especially chief customer officers, North America president of sales.
You know any people like
Why
that?
are you not here at Cannes? Why are you not at CES?
Yeah.
Just because you run a sales team doesn't give you an excuse to not know what the hell is going on in the world of advertising. Because it's the same damn consumer at the end of the day you're trying to influence with a 2 for 9 or with an ad. And in the world of almost 100% or 100% digitally influenced anything in life, including just from waking up in the morning to going to bed at night, regulating your sleep, there is no excuse for you not to be here. Why are these events CMO?
I think this event, this is just my take from coming here now for, I think this is my 4th year. This event requires you to come once to really understand it and its impact. And your first time coming will probably not be your highest return on investment. And then after you come once, you will have a much better sense of how to come prepared. Shows require you to prepare to come and then follow up.
Yeah.
Right. There's 3 stages to it. And the work that we do at Amazon leading up to the show to prepare for all the meetings that we're going to have, to ensure that they're fruitful for our customer, is significant. That investment is significant. And then it's a matter of what do we do with all that feedback that we get afterwards? How does that inform our product development? How does that inform our sales?
You guys at Amazon have figured out how to conquer the show very well.
But it takes time, right? You can't.
You have to back it up and you have to understand what are the outcomes you're looking for, and then execute the components that lead to those outcomes.
Let me rephrase what I'm saying without, I got aggressive there and I called people out.
No, Sri, but I want to put it in more simple terms. To a CCO,
The reason you want to go is, while we do understand that more than 75% of all dollars invested in retail go to our friends in Seattle at Amazon, for the 100 plus RMNs, right, with the exception of them and maybe one other, the actual investment in those RMNs is being managed by customer teams.
That's correct.
Your customer teams. If you're not here
how
do you know what all these RMNs can do and help you drive growth?
That's my point.
Which is your biggest challenge.
That's my point, Peter. And also, Amazon leaders are here, right, from retail media perspective.
Yeah.
Across the board, various verticals, food vertical, consumables, yada, 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 right? And very simple. You said it yourself. We are in the middle of a volume crisis in the industry.
Yeah.
Who's the one that can flip that volume crisis? Consumers.
Yeah.
What is the show about? Creative, consumers, retail media. Those are the three themes. You want to make a difference, show up, participate, shape.
And you might learn something that it was something that you maybe have heard about. Like, for instance, one of the big themes that's really evolved in this show over the last 2 years, last year and this year, is the power of influencers.
Oh, yeah.
And this isn't just about the big stars, right? There's plenty of big stars. I was at a concert the other night with Jason Derulo, and I saw Blake Griffin and Dirk Nowitzki, and right, there were plenty of athletes and stars that were there. But my niece, who's 21, and my daughter, who's 19, were texting me this week going, "Why is every influencer that I follow on Instagram at Cannes?"
So
and it's like this light bulb moment. It was kind of.
You showed me that text, and I'm like, but your niece said the right thing.
Yeah,
she prompted you and me when you got that text and you showed it to me to think about. Were even you and I fully accepting in our minds? We talked about the two themes as retail media networks and AI, influencer marketing, influencer participation, digital content creator. Is the third team over here.
Yes. Yeah, it's a big one.
Building down the road, the Carlton Hotel, has been taken over by digital. That's all the people that are staying there.
Yeah, if you're a youngin and you come to this show and you want to find the influencers, hang out at the Carlton Hotel, right? You can literally
taking our rooms from us. That's why we're at an Airbnb down the beach.
By the way, your Airbnb is pretty nice. So, I'm just gonna. Well, but here's what I would say. It's showing the impact that these influencers can have on your business. And it's not necessarily about how you go out and you get the biggest one. It's how you use influencers to drive more scale and to drive more trust in your brand.
Passionately about trust in your brand.
And like, that's what we found with Twitch, right? What we found with Twitch and we found with like Wondery podcast is that communities connect to their podcast host. They connect to their streamer. And when their podcast host or their streamer talks about a product that they have an affinity to, their community wants to go out and support them and they want to try that product. And so that's why this is becoming a theme here, because yes, it's creative and they are creators. But in the same regard, they're driving commerce.
One last, thing I'll say to the CCOs out there, not if, but when you come to Cannes, you're going to notice, you're going to be tempted to do what your CMOs do, which is appear on every stage and be on every panel possible. Let them do that. That's kind of what their business is. Your job is to come here and to listen, to learn, and to meet people.
And by the way, one of the ways, so theme 3, digital creators, I want to come back to that because I love to pick your brain more on that, especially that you come from Amazon. But you're going to theme 4 now, which I think even you and I don't do a great job of, and we'll ask Jeff if he is, which is there is so much content that is being shared at this festival.
It's overwhelming.
Sit in front of us right there.
It's like drinking water from a fire hose.
Yes.
You just look
across the balcony.
Look across the balcony, and all you see are tents with DoorDash. You see.
I'm not even going there, Peter. That's
Reddit,
like the next level.
You see all of these. I mean, it's crazy.
Inside the Palais,
a lot of content.
There is content after content. There's programming.
They've added new actual categories at Cannes this year,
which are focused specifically on commerce
Right.
marketing.
And there's tracks. There's so much learning. Year 1 year.
I actually said
to
it.
as many as
I
you
actually
can.
said it coming home from dinner that I don't have enough balance in my schedule to be able to absorb the content that's here because I'm too busy engaging in the content or in meetings, which is great. Now, since we're highlighting Cannes, I'll throw in there that one of the awesome sessions was that Andy Jassy was here.
Yep.
And Andy Jassy was given the 2025 Media Person of the Year.
Phenomenal.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And like that was super exciting. I think it
No
validates,
surprise, though.
No.
It validates, I think, what Amazon is doing in the space and how Amazon is really become, a player in not just sponsored ad media, but
That's why you're not
media
an
in general.
RMN, you're a national media player.
Yeah, I mean
You're a publisher.
it's exciting. I think a lot of us felt a lot of our team that was here felt a lot of pride. Andy didn't just speak in the Palais; he walked through port. Right, it was an exciting
You did a
moment.
little meet and greet.
I wish I wanted to meet and I was
By
trying.
the way-
I was going for that photo, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
By the way-
I know we had our bucket list moment with Martin Sorrell.
Yeah.
You were like, I want my Andy Jackson.
I do.
By the way,
Exactly.
CES 2024, I remember sitting at a penthouse it wasn't Mandalay Bay, Aria, if I remember correctly. Paul Codis, we had a top-to-top with General Mills, and I kind of said, guys, in 2024, we're going to look at you as a national media player, not as an RMN.
No.
I don't think even my CMO at that point, we made eye contact, and I'm not sure we all agreed.
He wasn't totally bought in.
And I'm like, if there is one RMN that will be a national media player, and I actually use the word, you're promoted in the eyes of General Mills.
And all you've done since you've been here, the two big announcements coming out of this, Roku and Disney,
Right.
prove that.
Hallelujah.
that.
So I want to go back to the digital creator theme.
Yep.
Right, which was theme 3. Theme 4 was you can actually learn, but let's come back to digital creator. Right. We just talked about Carlton being takeover by digital creators, but why are brands so hesitant to work with digital creators and influencers? Like here's my learning, right? Largest brands in the world are risk averse, like highly risk averse, very PR controlled. And I understand why, because you have equity and reputation. You have to be sensitive and careful around that. That's the world I come from. But the world is today owned by digital creators. I mean, this device that we use for a smartphone, for everything we do in our lives, is largely now run by digital creators. If you don't figure out how to embrace it, put it into brand equity development, you are losing the play and holding consumerism back. You're not doing the right thing for the. I'd love to get both your opinions.
Sri, the leaders, the CMO, the SVP of marketing level, they're still the generation, much like myself, that went to a very formal MBA program, right? And we did Kotler's book.
There.
We got
Marketing
Kotler's,
5104.
Exactly.
Philip Kotler, the 4 Ps.
Peter
Drucker.
Peter Drucker. And
Looks
so
like he drank the Kool-Aid like us.
they I don't want to say they think their own stuff smells awesome, but what they try to do is say, listen, I'm trying to build a brand narrative, and they look at creators. They're changing, but too many of them still look at it as like I'm playing whack-a-mole. And I want to control the message, and I don't like the fact that your message. They're not embracing the fact that these creators are telling them what they think about their brand, and maybe you should embrace what they're telling you and figure out how do you either.
Isn't that what trends are?
That's all about trends.
Well, first off, I'll take your comment back to early days of my time in the Amazon space when I had started my tech company, and people would talk to me about how, the question I would always get was, how do I get rid of a bad review? And my response was, you build a better product, right? So if creators are giving you feedback about your product,
it's a gift.
But here's the other thing, and this is, I think, the other place to lean into creators, is that creators, when you work with them correctly, can actually help you build new products. They can help you build product extensions, right?
Into
Collaborate
other categories, into other applications.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I think that when you lean into a creator, you do need to have inspection for who you're working with. But when you're just using creators to create a series of videos that are out there for you, I think that the risk is not as high, right? So when your creator becomes a spokesperson, then you want to maintain that same level of inspection that you've always had with your brand. But I think the real value that's out there, and I'll use beauty as an example because I think it happens in that space quite often, is that somebody will, start making short videos on a routine that they're doing, and it will become a trend, and it will spark the growth of your product sales. And if you're not, tracking your sales properly, and you're not tracking social trends, you don't know what's happening. And a great example is what Amazon did with Cheetos. Right. So Amazon was working with Cheetos, and they leaned into the idea that when you eat Cheetos, you get the
Cheetle. It's called Cheetle.
The gold,
it's the powder that gets on the finger,
your
fingers.
Cheetle. Right. Yeah. And so we created a whole integrated campaign where the creators were talking about what you do, because what people do is they actually grind Cheetos down and then they use it in their food.
It's an ingredient.
It's an ingredient.
Yeah.
And so they'll use it as like a crust on a chicken wing, right? And so you lean into the creators, you lean into the moments, and you build moments around them. And those are new campaigns for you to be thinking about that are going to help you connect with a new audience, that are going to help you grow your brand in ways that you weren't necessarily thinking, or maybe reinvent your brand in ways you weren't thinking.
One use that they found people were using with Cheetle was they were mixing it in with their macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
And they said, why are we letting another company who manufactures macaroni and cheese take that business away from us? What did they do? They launched Cheetos macaroni and cheese in multiple flavors.
So they saw the creator trends and they launched new products from it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's leaning into it. And so I do think there's two sides of it. I think here the conversation is more about creators and community and how creators build community. But I think when you are inspecting that as a CPG leader, you need to say, okay, creators have community, they're developing trends, they're socializing trends, and there may be opportunities for me to create product extensions. I mean, when you were at General Mills, how many different times did the box change because of what was happening, what the latest trend was that was going on? Like, it's part of how we've always done business. We just need to apply it to the new mediums that are out there today.
Agreed. So my rant is done on that one. As we get to the closing this episode, I'd love to go to a theme 5. And that was the countless networking you get to do over here, because you're meeting friends from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 2 years ago, somebody you met last year.
When we post a picture on LinkedIn about our being here, we get communicated almost instantaneously from people here. You're here.
Yeah. Oh, you're here.
Can I connect with you now?
Yeah.
It's there. To you, the
I had
point
to
you made
turn down 10 people because I don't have time.
Yeah. I think that one thing for anyone who comes to this show that's thinking about coming to this show, you do want to plan unstructured time. Being completely...
We've learned a bad lesson this year that unstructured time is important.
It is. Unstructured time is very important. You don't want to be completely structured in all of your time. I think the second thing is
I schedule spontaneity into my day. That's how I do things here at camp.
That's right.
And I know when I'm spontaneous, I know exactly how I'm going to be spontaneous.
Well, I mean, but I'll say last year, you and I were walking down the Palais and you introduced me to the team at Nielsen IQ. And over the last year, I've had numerous conversations with him. We're working on a couple of different things that they're doing with Amazon. And that's how these things start to open up. And so you will come here with very specific business goals of what you're trying to accomplish, but you'll also find new opportunities that you never thought of. Last night at dinner, every year that I come here, I like to have dinner with a bunch of our EU partners. Okay. I don't give enough attention to the EU community, and they'll probably agree when they hear that. But I love getting all of the EU team together. These are our partners that are spread throughout Europe that all come to this show. And my ability to just sit down, I had 15 of them that were there last night, just sit down with each of them for 10 minutes at dinner and hear what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish. It was kind of speed dating, but I learned a lot about their business. And so, that is, I could have very easily just gone to dinner with the same people that I go to every year, but that's a way to expand my personal understanding of the market, of the trends, of what's happening. But also I walked away with a lot of action items of how I can help them to make their business better, which will in turn, help Amazon in the long run.
Absolutely. Networking, I think, is our fifth theme over here. Yeah. You're going to meet with who's, whether it's a publisher, whether it's an agency that helps you publish, whether it's an actual retail media network, a retailer, a brand, service providers, tech providers, MarTech providers, they're all here. If you're in the game of consumerism, you need to be here.
Yeah, Shri, I'll give you one great case example. If you've listened to this podcast, we've had a guest on twice, Jack Shannon from Recess. And Jack has been kind of shadowing us, helping us with some of the podcasts we've been recording. But in doing so, he gets to meet people. And he said to us, I think Monday after dinner, he said, we're a day in and I have already vastly exceeded my expectations from the connections and the opportunities that Cannes presents to me.
Yeah,
that was a truth-telling story.
So as we wrap up, I'm going to summarize real quick 5 big themes emerging over here. If you listen to the whole episode, I will come back next year for sure. I'm guessing, Jeff, so will you, because we are curious. We want to learn. We want to continue to shape the industry.
Yeah, I've learned. I continue to learn. This show becomes, I'll say, easier for me as you come here more and more. You meet more people. You start to bump into people. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. There's 15,000 people here?
A lot. Is that the number? Wow.
Yeah, it's I'll say between 10 and 15, what's 5,000 people? And it's a small town, but literally
very narrow streets.
If you literally just walk down the street, you bump into people that you know. And as you come here more and more, you meet more people, you bump into more people. And I love that. And I love being able to connect and to learn and to help drive action for our partners, and this show is a must on my list.
One personal high point for me during the show, beyond obviously spending time with you guys and Shri, the 500th episode, was on Wednesday afternoon. I got to moderate a panel including my Flywheel colleague Claudia Johnson and Lily Tong from Amazon Advertising. To talk about the big shift that's going on in terms of moving from return on investment or return on advertising spend into return on consumer. And that was another key theme that I would be remiss if I didn't call out.
Let's just close it out talking about that just a tad more, if you don't mind. So,
well, I want to add one point, which is that there is like the official programming, and then there are all these side programming.
There is complementary programming that's being produced by the agencies, by some of the service providers, by a whole bunch of others. So if you come here and all you're doing is going to the Palais, you'll learn, but you won't learn nearly as much as you walk down the beach and you go to Amazon Port, you go to the Media Link Beach event, all of the Omnicom space, all of them there. There's so much content that's taking place.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching Claudia on Wednesday really talk about the consumer aspect versus the return on ad spend. There's actually, in my mind, the CPG guys will be talking about that as a metric a lot go forward. It was inspiring to hear her the concept y'all are creating at Flywheel.
And it's why things like Amazon Marketing Cloud are so critically important.
Well, and it's a driver for, we co-developed with you guys the 5-year look back window, right?
Very important for slower moving consumer goods, where the purchase frequency is not like every 3 weeks. It's, how often do you buy a new
high definition television.
Well, but it's also even for the consumer goods that do move fast, right? Just being able to have that longer look back window gives you so much more insight into the impact that your ads are having.
You have a better understanding of who is a truly new to brand.
Correct. And I think like that, by having the unlock of that signal, you then can get to the value of the consumer in a way that you weren't able to get to it 6 months ago.
Yep.
So let me wrap this one up by reminding audience that you can find all of our content simply by going to a web browser.
How much content do we have there?
500.
Over 500.
Jeff is 501.
501.
He's introducing us to the second half of the 1,000.
So he's like the button fly Levi's blue jeans. He's 501.
I'm a
He's
501.
501. We did a double take with them.
Boy, are we dating ourselves with that.
All right, let me wrap this one up.
Old as new again.
I know. Remember when that was cool and hot?
If you or anyone you know would want to contribute to this ongoing community discussion we have on the CPG Guys, please drop us an email at contact@cpgguys.com. Again, that's contact@cpgguys.com. To our followers, thank you so much for your clicks, likes, DMs, coming to these trade shows, coming to our events, whether they're dinners, lunches, panels. Just thank you to all our sponsors. This show doesn't exist without you. And for being all your sponsors, thank you. Jeff, busy conference.
Yep.
Great friend of the show. We owe you. Thank you for not just landing us episode 500, but also being our guest for 501 to wrap up what went on with the show.
Well, thank you guys and appreciate it. And congratulations on all your success and look forward to working on 550 or 600 with you guys.
Looking forward. Looking forward. And, a couple of years from now, Jeff, you're going to be guest number 1,000. I'll be looking forward to that.
If I'm still working, maybe I'll be retired by then.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. We want you.
Shri, thank you for a fantastic Cannes Lions 2025. It's our second year here, and I know it certainly won't be our last. We'll be here bigger and better. But to our audience, we're so greatly appreciative. 37,000+ followers on LinkedIn who look to us to both educate and entertain them on what's relevant in our industry. We are appreciative, and we look forward to speaking with you on the next episode.
I got one more thing. We have a very special download count to announce very shortly.
Okay.
A big one. Okay. We're only a couple of weeks away from that.
All right. So
but I won't say it.
But you could help accelerate it by downloading.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
But
he's the true marketer.
We look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.